There's something about small towns, isn't there? Quiet streets, friendly neighbors, and absolutely nothing happens. Well, almost nothing. You see, in one such town, hidden away from the rest of the world, things were about to change. And not in the new coffee shop just opened way. No, this was something much darker. It was the kind of town where you'd expect to find old men talking about the weather, teenagers hanging around parking lots with nothing to do, and radios that only played one station. Peaceful, yes. Boring, absolutely. But that was about to end. You see, on one very ordinary night, something extraordinary happened. A signal. Not the usual traffic report or hits of the 80s nonsense. This was a signal from somewhere else, and it was about to ruin everyone's evening. It began quietly, as these things often do. One evening, as John, that's right, John, because everyone knows a John, was sitting at home listening to his favorite radio show, something peculiar happened. The static started, which was nothing new for his dodgy old radio. But then came the voice, a whisper, barely audible, sneaking through the static. Now, most people would probably switch it off, blame it on interference, and carry on with their lives. But not John. No. John leaned in closer, as if that was somehow a good idea. Now, John wasn't the only one hearing things. Around town, radios were picking up the same strange signal. People were starting to talk. At the local diner, someone mentioned they'd heard it too. "Don't look at the lights," they said. And like John, they all did exactly the opposite of what the voice warned. Typical. Who listens to eerie, otherworldly warnings anyway? Then, as night fell, things escalated. The lights appeared. At first, just faint glimmers in the distance, hovering in the sky. They seemed harmless enough, if not a bit strange. But as the night went on, those lights got brighter, closer, until they were practically floating above the town. Naturally, instead of locking their doors and hiding inside like any sensible person would, people gathered outside to watch. After all, what's a strange, supernatural event without a bit of public curiosity, right? Now this is where it all goes downhill. Fast. You see, the lights weren't just there for decoration. People began to disappear. One by one, they'd stare at the lights for a bit too long, and poof, gone. Not the sort of gone where they've nipped to the shops for a pint of milk. No, I'm talking vanished off the face of the earth, gone. And yet, the rest of the town kept looking up, as if waiting for their turn. The genius of human behavior, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, back at John's place, things were about to get even worse. Remember that signal? Well, it was back. Only this time, the voice wasn't a whisper. It was clear as day.
"Don't look at the lights,"
it said, louder now, more urgent. But of course, John being John, he decided to step outside and take a peek. Because why not? I mean, everyone else had disappeared. Why shouldn't he join them? As he stood there, staring up at the sky, the lights started to move. Slowly at first, then faster, swirling above him like some sort of cosmic tornado. And then, without warning, one of the lights stopped, right above his house. John froze. Not that it mattered, because by this point, he was well past the point of no return. The light grew brighter, almost blinding. And then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it vanished, leaving John standing there, in the darkness, alone. Or so he thought. The next morning, the town was quiet. Too quiet. The lights were gone, but so were most of the people. John somehow had survived. Maybe it was luck, maybe it was something else, but he was the last one standing. And as he looked around, he realized he was completely, utterly alone. Of course, you'd think this was the end of the story, wouldn't you? Oh no, because that signal, it never really stopped. Weeks went by, and the town became a ghost of its former self. John stayed, because what else was he going to do? Move? Hardly. But then one night, as he sat by his old radio, the static returned. And so did the voice, only this time it had one final message.
They'll come back. Don't look at the lights.
Now John had learned his lesson. He wasn't about to make the same mistake twice, was he? So, if you ever find yourself in a small town where the radios start acting up and strange lights appear in the sky, well, you've been warned. Don't look at the lights, or, do. After all, who doesn't love a good mystery? Just be prepared. You might not like what happens next, because sometimes, when the unknown calls, it's better to let it go to voicemail. If you enjoyed this story, hit the like button and subscribe for more terrifying tales from the unknown. Until next time, keep the lights on.